The opinions expressed in this show are the views of the host and not necessarily that of WTRW, 94.3 The Talker, or the Bold Gold Media Group.
The following presentation is paid for by Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate, who is solely responsible for its content. Portions transcribed.
All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
Hello, I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker of Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm here with my husband, fellow realtor, co-host, Pat Devaney.
Good morning, Jackie. How are you?
How are you, Pat?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm doing well myself. We're here with Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thank you for being here with us.
It's a pleasure.
We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m., where we discuss real estate topics. We have a full-time real estate office, many exceptional realtors who have been listing, selling, and appraising real estate for 50-plus years.
During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com. Or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. And when you go to jruddy.com, click on the webcam tab and get a live view of Dunmore Corner, see what's going on. We get hits from all over the world on that camera. It's amazing.
It's a very interesting intersection, that Dunmore Corner.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah, it
sometimes
could be.
it's not.
Could be. Look us up on social media and view our listings. Search the MLS listings and listen to archive radio shows by going to mobilefriendlyjruddy.com, JRUDDY.com. And on the radio tab, there's also all the popular podcast apps that we feature the radio show on. Check it out. Okay, Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. We're going to talk about Masonry. Who are you? How long have you been doing what you do, please?
Well, as you stated, my name is Tony Amico. I've been in the masonry business for 43 years now, 43 years plus.
So you have an idea of what's going on in that world?
To quote my mentor, I get by.
All right. Okay. Where do you go and what do you do? What type of work do you typically do?
I'm kind of spoiled these days because I have developed a following and approaching 66 years old, so I limit how far I want to drive every day. My standard joke is I have a 10-mile radius. That means 5 miles in any direction. And ironically, it has proved to be true because I have a local following that's allowed me to have that luxury.
Yeah, that's a luxury, I'd say. Very much so. Well, I know that masonry work is unique and it requires skill. So you are busy, correct?
Always.
There's stuff to always do. I'm not seeing a demand for that type of housing anymore in terms of new construction. It's limited because it's such an art.
Well, I mean, I specialize in a lot of restoration work. It's just a direction that I took myself into because that was where I feel most comfortable. I like restoring old stonework. I learned initially how to do real stonework before cultured stone was even invented.
That's huge, cultured
stone.
Yeah,
well, it's pretty much replaced brickwork.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you do your restoration work, you were talking about materials that were used 100 years ago, 80 years ago, 50 years ago. How do you match it up?
Well, the same products are really available yet. There's been some refinements through the years, but for the most part, we're still using, mortar and sand, although we have quite a few pre-mixed products today, which already have the sand in, so it takes away the measuring process. But when you're trying to match colors, well, now you have to play and, try different things out, let them dry, try to match them afterwards, and a lot of what I've learned over the years is during the process of tearing old work apart was seeing the process by which these old masons developed their craft. And so there is knowledge to be gained in the dismantling of their work. And so, we're restoring a wall presently. Me and
stone?
Me and my two hands.
What kind of wall? Stone?
It's an old West Mountain stone.
Okay.
And the wall was built about 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. It hasn't even leaned. I would like to say I have something that I've built that lasts 100 years, That's pretty amazing. So I'm in the process right now of restoring that wall. So I power washed it with Dawn dish detergent and a hot water pressure washer. Cut out all the joints first, grind them all out, open them all up, check for any loose stones. And then after everything dried out, now I'm in the process of repointing that wall. And when it's all done, I'll seal it. And hopefully it'll last for another 100 years.
There you go. Well, we go for walks in Dunmore. We see these high stone walls. They're magnificent, but so many of them lean.
That's exactly the wall he's talking about, because I'm friends with Tony on Facebook. He's done some work for me, really amazing work. But it's like the houses. We're up here in West Mountain now, and as we drive up here, all the houses are like the same color. The wall that he's doing was that color, and he did before and after. Before it was black and nasty and yucky, and then he washed it and he did the repoint. It looks like a brand new wall. It's amazing.
Well, this is the mountain from where that stone came.
That's why they call it West Mountain
This is
Stone,
the
I
mountain.
guess.
This is it.
Yeah, so for the listeners that don't know what that stone looks like, it's like a...
Orange, kind of?
Yeah, orange,
like a
yellow,
sandy...
reds.
Yes.
Yeah, but as you go further back, because it's quarried from a different face of the mountain, the colors have changed over the years. So when you're trying to, match that stone, you may get it from the exact same quarry, but it may not look exactly the same because you're deeper into that face of the mountain now. And, that stone that you're getting into is much older. Colors have changed.
Right.
Not drastically, but some. And for me, it's a preference. I mean, I just built the fireplace in my home over the winter, and it's all West Mountain stone.
Well, even fireplaces in homes have changed. And if you go into an older home, you have a chance of seeing that brick, that stone, the real stone, not the cultured stone.
Right.
Today, a lot of cultured stone, a lot of wood, trim, not so much brick.
Well, I mean, the cultured stone is readily available, and it will always match because it's manufactured stone. When I built my fireplace, to me, it would be sacrilegious if I had built it out of cultured stone. I was taught by a very good mason when I started my business. A man named Sam DeAndrea came into my life and pretty much chiseled me out. But I remember him telling me at that time, when the cultured stone was still coming along early and it hadn't been perfected, he says, "This is your competition." And it is, because cost-wise, there's no comparison.
None, yeah.
My fireplace that I built in my home cost me, the interior alone, about $3,000. Well, if that was cultured stone, it'd probably be about a third of the amount. So if I was charging a customer, let's say at the high end of cultured stone, which could be as high as $30 a square foot, depending on how deep you want to get into the detail and so forth. If you're doing real stone, now we're at about $150 to $175 a square foot. How do I convince a customer that this is the way to go if they can't tell the difference?
Well, you can tell the difference.
Oh, you can.
Oh,
I can
absolutely.
tell.
He could tell the difference at a glance. We did it in our house. It looks nice, but we're not really spending much time looking at the fireplace. It's more like an accent piece. So
Yeah.
But there's people like you that are still around that are skilled, that are able to repair all of this old stonework, and I think that it's a dying art.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm blessed to have had the influences that I had over the years. I've had some incredible, we call them mechanics. People call us masons or craftsmen or whatever. The common compliment amongst people in the trades is he's a fine mechanic. It more or less tells you that this individual has perfected the trade to a higher level. And years ago, I had finished a job of my own after my mentor had gotten ill. And he came out to the job when I was all done and he was recovering. And he put his arm on my shoulder and he said to me, he says, "My boy," he says, "you're a mechanic. I'll never forget that compliment. There's no compliment that anyone else could give me that will equal that one till this day. None. His was the compliment that I needed to hear.
I want to talk about Tony did a job for me. That's why Tony's here, because he does amazing work. But we bought a building, me and my lovely wife, and
I had nothing to do with it.
Yes, she did. Okay, you signed the papers.
No,
okay,
I mean, reluctantly.
Okay.
Let me just
Tony,
get that out there.
Let's just say it's a garage.
Okay.
That's why she hates it. But anyway, it had these walls going down to a lower level, and it looked like these walls were shelled during the bombardment of Stalingrad, because there was holes in the walls. It looked like bullet holes. It was nasty. And I said to Tony, he was recommended by a friend of mine who's his cousin. He says, have Tony look at it. I was like, I didn't think there was any hope for this walls. But he came down, and he was like, yeah, it's no problem. And he put the screen in there, and he's got this nail gun, and he's shooting 22s into the wall. Pop, pop, pop. He's banging. He puts this heavy screen on the wall. It was heavy-duty stuff. He did the wall. He covered it all. And then in 1 day or 2 days, he comes. And what do you call that? The skim coat you put on there? The stucco?
I'm enjoying listening to
I
your
don't know what it
description.
was, but man, I couldn't do it. He's got the mixer going. He's back and forth. He's going back and forth like a little bowl back and forth, and he's putting it on. And the walls now are beautiful. They are absolutely beautiful. And he did like a stucco, and he transformed the walls that looked like they were ready to fall down into these beautiful, straight, finished, perfect walls. And then he also, him and his buddy, they did a concrete floor in the basement of this garage. The concrete floor is like a mirror. I have never seen as smooth now Tony's going to get 8,000 phone calls because I'm telling how good his work is. But beautiful. The guy did it. He's got the machine that spins around with a big blade, and he did it 6 or 7 times. It's as smooth. It looks better than the floor in Ricardo's, their new floor up there that's all finished nice and smooth.
Well, let me just explain
let's just say,
to
Tony
the
does
listener.
nice work, and now you're going to get 8 million phone calls, so you better not tell him.
This building garage
Was built in 1940.
and looked like it was involved in a heavy bombing, like an air raid in a war.
That's why I bought it.
Okay. So thank God for Tony, because it really needed a master.
A master, that's right, a craftsman to go over it
Yes.
and to repair it, because the guy who had done the repairs on the wall, it looked like he took big piles of plaster and just threw it at it in many different places. It was really
Just
terrible.
use some caulk or
Oh
something?
my God, it was the worst work I've ever seen in my life.
Well, yeah. So this needed some skill and technique that Tony has.
It's always the creation of an illusion.
Oh, there's no illusion. It's nice.
Well, what I'm saying is that is the objective. You have to create the illusion of perfection, because nothing is perfect. So you do your best, and obviously that was good enough to satisfy Pat. I did my best.
You did it. You did a wonderful job. You talk about restorations. I think you made it better than when it was new.
Well, what's going on in your world? You're rebuilding a wall, a retaining wall, right? And so what else do you find other than bombed out garages? Where else do you find yourself?
Well, I mean, through the years, I've explored or had the opportunity to explore so many aspects of the trade, and it's what defines a bricklayer or a stonemason or a concrete finisher from a mason. In masonry, we have to do everything. So, in the beginning of my trade, first of all, I didn't know anything and went into business. I would never advise someone to do it the way I did it. I basically went into the business knowing absolutely nothing about the trade I was entering, except that I liked the feel of a trowel in my hand. I had one wheelbarrow that I bought for $5. I had a pickup truck. I painted the truck bright orange so nobody would miss it. And I dressed myself in as old-looking clothing as possible. And what I mean is, baggy pants, suspenders, straw hat, grew a mustache, so I would look like I was an established businessman.
Look the part.
Well, because at that time we were during the Carter years, and the interest rates were through the roof. But I knew who had the money. They were the retired people that had all their money invested in CDs. They had a lot of money. And so to attract them, I tried to make myself look as much like them as possible so that I had some kind of identity between us. When we started out, it was myself and my cousin started the business together, and we had no following because there was no history behind us. We weren't established in the business, and it was difficult for both of us to draw an income. And so he went on to get a job, and I continued on with the business. And I continued along those lines. Well, I started hiring men who were coming close to retirement who had 40 or 50 years in the trades, and I would pay them their rate. And I was the laborer. And so if I was bidding on a stucco job, I'd find a guy who did stucco work and have him come work for me, and I would mix the mud, and he would show me how to do it. Same thing with brick, same thing with block, same thing with stone, and so on and so forth. And then
Here you are.
along comes this man, Sam DeAndrea, and he just took over. And I was his laborer for probably 10 years of the 43 years I'm in business, learning from a professor.
Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
You could email me at amicomasonry@comcast.net, or you can call me on my cell phone, 570-840-5248.
Great.
And he's also on Facebook.
Right.
You can find me on Facebook as well.
All right. And a lot of, do you show a lot of your work on there?
From time to time, I show the process sometimes or finished product. I'm always hesitant because sometimes a customer doesn't want their home displayed.
Yeah.
So I'm careful about how I go about displaying that.
Well, that's good information to get out there, so we appreciate when you do. I'd like to take the time and give a special shout out to our generous sponsor for their support, Green Man Exterminator. Are you tired of traditional pest control methods that harm the environment?
I'm tired of them. Yes, I am.
Are you just tired, period?
No, I'm tired of those big guys.
And they're harmful to the environment. It's time to make a greener choice. Introducing Green Man Exterminator, your eco-friendly solution for pest management. Green Man Exterminator believes in protecting both your home and the environment. They specialize in environmentally conscious pest control solutions that are safe for your family and pets. Say goodbye to harsh chemicals and hello to natural organic treatments to effectively eliminate pests. Green Man Exterminator has received the Angie's List Super Service Award for 10 continuous years. They have the best reputation in the pest control world. Don't settle for harmful pesticides. Choose Green Man Exterminators for a safer, greener solution. Visit greenmanexterminator.com or call 570-851-4863 to schedule your affordable and environmentally friendly pest control service today. Green Man Exterminators, protecting your home and the planet, one pest at a time.
Yeah, he's very good, John.
John Smith.
John Smith, yeah, he's really good.
Pat, would you like to review a listing,
Yes,
please?
we have a very good deal for the right buyer. We have a 3-bedroom home at 1131 Reynolds Avenue in Taylor for $119,000. The owner started to renovate but decided to sell, so his loss can be your gain. This home has hardwood floors, low taxes of only $1,500 a year, and a detached large one-car garage with plenty of off-street parking. If you can invest some sweat equity, this will pay off with this 3-bedroom home at 1131 Reynolds Avenue in Taylor for $119,000. And that's listed by Jessica Ruddy of our office.
We will be back shortly with more Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 The Talker. When considering to sell or buy a home, why choose Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate? Let me tell you why. 70% of home buyers settle for the first agent they meet, and many regret it. 90% of home sellers hire an agent, but was it the right choice? Don't have agent remorse. I'm Jackie Ruddy, and I've been in and around the real estate business for most of my life. And at Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate, we've been selling real estate for half a century. But we do not do it halfway. You deserve better than average. Average doesn't help you. We know it's all about you and what you need. Century 21 is the #1 in brand awareness, is the most recognized name in real estate, and is the most respected in the industry. In this market, if you dream big, you need to move fast. So it makes perfect sense to contact Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate, 570-344-6724, and visit jruddy.com. That's JRUDDY.com. Thanks for tuning into the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and with my husband, fellow realtor,
Pat Devaney, and we're back.
How are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We have with us today Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. Before we get back into our discussion, our fascinating discussion, I'd like to say hello to Sally Mahady. Sally came into the office yesterday. She wanted us to know that she enjoys our radio show. She stopped in to see us to tell us that she really loves us. So thank you, Sally, for tuning in week after week. We appreciate you.
And we got those people in Brooklyn, Bobby and Regina. They're always listening.
They're always listening. Thank you, Bobby and Regina. And Eileen and Jimmy.
Yeah.
Right?
And Billy Griffiths. We have a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, we have a following, Pat. Yeah. So what generation do you think is the most likely to have some sort of form of surveillance on their home?
Me.
What generation? Do you know?
I don't. What is it? I don't know the Gen X and the Gen Z.
Millennials are the most likely.
What's DC, what's a millennial?
Is it? I forget the years. I got to look it up.
They're born when? And they're like 40 years old? Oh, sorry. Cut that out.
72% of millennial homeowners report they have home surveillance. And let's see. Nearly 70% of Gen Z said they have surveillance, so they're a close second. 47% of Gen X, 30% of baby boomers. Are you a boomer?
Oh, I'm a boomer, and I have surveillance on my house.
Right. So this is according to Lending Tree.
Millennials born between 1981 and 1996.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Overall, 51% of homeowners reported having surveillance, while 32% of renters have it. Half of respondents said they installed surveillance for general safety, while 14% said it was in the property when they purchased it. 11% reported installing it after suspicious activity nearby. Half of the consumers reported checking their surveillance daily. Imagine that.
No.
While 24% check it weekly, 20% check it when they get a notification. 63% reported that their surveillance helps scare off a thief. And it's not just to ward off criminals. More than 1/4 of consumers said they have used it to monitor their children.
Yep.
72% of parents with minor children. 15% have used it to monitor their spouse, and 10% to monitor a neighbor.
Have you been monitoring me?
Yes, sure. Yeah, of course. I'll let you think that. Okay. Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. Let's dive into the process, if you wouldn't mind. Tell us what's involved with the process of restoration and some of the challenges in repairing or renovating older structures.
Well, I think the first thing is to ask the client what their expectations are. You know, at what point would they be satisfied? If do they want it restored to as new? Do they want to preserve it? And then they have to take at that point my assessment as to what I can accomplish. Everything has limitations. Sometimes you have to totally dismantle a project to restore it because it's gone too far. If it had periodic maintenance through the years, the damage would be less, and the repair would be less. So that's the first thing, is to analyze exactly what it is that they want and what we can actually do.
What you can achieve.
Right. You know what I see in Dunmore? There's a lot of those retaining walls, and lots of times I see them, they've just collapsed. And the way they repair it is they put some cones up and they put some tape around it so you don't kill yourself when you're walking by. But I think that maybe, can you do anything?
Yeah,
with
right.
something?
How do you fix that?
You've got walls that are retaining walls, and you have walls that are boundary walls. You have walls that are strictly for aesthetic, decorative purposes. And when it comes to the retaining walls, basically what you see is not what you have to be concerned with. It's what went into the construction of the wall. Was it excavated deep enough to begin with?
Okay.
Was the footing, if it's a masonry wall, a constructed masonry wall, was the footing that was put in place adequate enough to support not only the wall, but to hold back what it was retaining? Along with that, it's drainage. Years ago, they didn't realize how important that drainage was.
Right.
Some people did. The 100-year wall that I'm doing now, they knew. They had put broken stone behind the wall. They put in weep holes. They directed the water that would be coming against that wall, through that area, away from the wall, through the weep holes. And so in the wintertime, the frost wasn't able to push the wall over. Now, if you don't do that, and that water is retained, now the water becomes ice, and ice is a very destructive force. And it may take several years before the damage is apparent. The wall at one point could actually have been leaning in, then it becomes plumb, and now the momentum is going in the opposite direction. At that point, the wall is going to fail at some point.
Can you repair those walls? I guess it depends, right?
If the wall is already moving in the wrong direction, it's going to have to be torn down to a point.
Wow.
And rebuilt.
Possibly the whole wall, or possibly part of it.
Okay.
I know there's a project we did several years ago where I did restore 90% of the wall, but there was a section, 10% section of it, that the wall was just beyond that. And so that section, I had to not only dismantle it and reconstruct it, but it had to match the existing wall so that you wouldn't know I did that. So now when we take the wall apart, we have to take it apart like a puzzle and lay it out on the ground. Because when I'm building a wall, I'm cutting the stones as I go. If I'm restoring a wall, I have to put the stones back the way the original builder cut them. Oh, boy. So I have to put them in a specific order, sometimes number them, take pictures of them. Years ago, we didn't have pictures. Right. We didn't have our cell phones with our cameras.
Right.
So we had Instamatic cameras.
Yeah, but then you'd have to wait for them to get developed.
Yeah.
So what do you do now? The thing is, say you come up to a wall and the wall is gone. It's finished. What's that new block that they use? I see it. They look like Legos. That
VersaBlock, VersaLock. There's several different products out there now. And the selling point of the VersaLock wall was always that it will move with the frost. And
I don't think I want my wall to move.
So you're thinking, okay, well then the frost won't knock it down. Well, that's not true. Yes, they move with the frost. Do they go back where they were is a big question.
Right.
And so
it has to be all done correctly.
You have to follow the manufacturer's instructions. There's a certain height restriction there, where you have to use a geogrid product to tie that wall into the embankment. And the same thing, drainage is very important.
So it really matters that someone who's doing it knows what they're doing.
Yeah, go through. Sometimes you have to take the time to go to these instructional type seminars to see how the product was intended to be used. You could read up on it. Now, fortunately, you have YouTube that will show you, quite a bit.
Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
Call me on my cell phone, 570-840-5248.
Great. Pat, would you like to review a listing?
Yes, we have a 5-bedroom, 2-bath home at 219 East Elm Street in Dunmore for $194,000. This well-kept home is in the Dunmore School District. It has plenty of room for your family. It is almost 3,000 square feet of living space. It's got a covered front and rear porches and a fenced-in yard. This home is definitely not a drive-by with great room sizes, all new windows, a new roof, and new flooring in the bedrooms, along with low taxes of less than $2,000 a year. That's a 5-bedroom, 2-bath home at 219 East Elm Street in Dunmore for $194,000, and that's listed by Dan Callahan of our office.
And we'll continue our masonry discussion with Tony Amico next Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11:30 a.m. on the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21, Jack Ready Real Estate on 94.3 The Talker.